Good morning, Scott Cullen with the Cannata Report here. It's Fridays with Frank time, and I'm here with Frank Cannata and a very special guest. How you doing today, Frank?
I'm doing great, Scott, and I'm really thrilled to be interviewing you today.
That is a switch.
I just thought it would be kind of fun. After all, you've been doing this for a very long time. I'm not the only old timer around here. So actually, how many years have you been covering this industry, Scott?
I started in this industry in February of 1986. Okay,
All right.
I guess you could say that's 38 years.
I'm thinking back to that time, and there were a lot of different publications that covered the industry, weren't there?
There were, and I started with a publication that was an end user office trade. It was originally Office Systems Magazine at the time, changed its name to Office Solutions. And then a year after I started there, they started Office Dealer Magazine, a dealer publication. And that's really how I got seriously introduced to the dealer audience. And just as a fun fact, that job at Office Solutions and Office Dealer was the only job I ever got in my life where I did not know someone. I answered an ad in the paper and went in for an interview, and 2 weeks later, I started the job. Every other job that I had before and since, it was because I knew someone or someone knew me.
So you started in the industry just as facsimile was heating up.
It was heating up. I remember we had at the time one of those coated paper fax machines in our office, and we would come in the morning, and then there'd be this long roll of paper there on the floor because the machine we had, and I believe it was a Pitney Bowes machine, did not trim the paper after receiving. And the magazine I worked at prior to getting in this industry, it was a cable TV magazine. And I remember I was responsible for writing the program descriptions that were in the magazine. I remember contacting one of the cable TV networks and asking them to send me their list of programming for the following month. And they asked, do you have a fax machine? I had never heard the word fax machine before. And I asked around, and coincidentally, we did have a fax machine. And that was actually my first introduction to fax prior to joining the industry. Next thing you know, I'm writing about this technology.
In terms of, going forward through the years, what stands out to you most about the changes we've seen in the industry?
Well, I think probably a lot of the same changes that you've referenced in the past. I remember the first digital copier. I believe it was Canon. And I did have a period of time, a year and a half, where I had gone over to the public relations side, and I was working for Canon's PR agency, the Roland Company at the time in New York City. And I was the person who wrote the press release for that first digital copier from Canon. And I also, at the time, wrote the press release for Canon's CJ10 color copier. I don't know if you remember that desktop copier. It didn't quite take off, but it was my first indication to me that there was something going on with color technology that I hadn't even thought about before. And then next thing you know, I'm back on this side of the fence, which I do like a lot better than on the PR side, to be honest. And next thing you know, it's the year of color for like 10 years in a row. Okay, it eventually happened, but we stopped calling it the year of color, and it just kind of happened organically as more companies kept introducing color copiers. And that was a fun technology to cover, and went to a lot of events back in the day where a lot of these technologies rolled out. And those were some of my fondest memories, attending industry events.
Any of the numerous shows that we used to go to stand out in your mind, you recall?
I loved those BTA/NAMDA shows back in the day.
Yeah.
It was one-stop shopping. everybody was there for a period of time before they started going off and doing their own dealer meetings. You could go from Rico to Canon to Minolta to Konica to Mita and Panasonic. And then there were all these different fax companies that they're all gone now. Those BTA shows were amazing. Getting into this industry and working for these publications where I'm sent all over the country to these events, and I'm experiencing things that I had never experienced before, and it was exciting.
I share that feeling with you. It was kind of fun times back in the 80s and 90s with the way the industry seemed to be thriving, and it was a great experience. As we sit here all these years later, what's your feeling about the future for this industry?
I think the industry is going to be just fine. And what really makes me say that is there's always something new coming down the road. I've seen it for 38 years, and I'm going to go back 38 years again, because when I first started in this industry, after I came from an entertainment publication, which was kind of my dream job, and then here I am writing about fax machines and electronic typewriters, and I'm thinking, I only want to do this for a year. I got to get back to the entertainment side. And as hard as I tried for like 5 years or so, I could not get away. And now I feel like this is my home. Been around long enough, everybody knows you, you're comfortable with them. They know it's great to walk around an event and people say, oh, I love what you're writing, or I see you all the time in the Cannata Report or whatever the publication was going back years. This industry is going to be carrying on pretty much as they always have, selling new products, offering new services. Whatever these manufacturers throw at them, the dealers I'm talking about, I don't think they're going to have any problem selling them. And I know I agree with you on that. You've said that many times. And it's actually more exciting to write about today than it was 38 years ago.
Scott, really enjoyed getting you to talk about the business. We got to do this more often.
I'm game. Before you go, if you like what we're doing here, make sure you subscribe so we can notify you of upcoming videos. And also, if you like what we're doing, be sure and hit that like button.